So the moment that the divine says to Solomon, what do you want? This is what Solomon says, I'm a child. I don't know how to do what you want me to do. I don't know how to fulfill what you want to be fulfilled through me. This is his request. He says, give me a wise and understanding heart. That's the request. And if any human who ever has any question asks for that, solutions will unfold from a wise and understanding heart. And what the divine says to Solomon is, excellent. And because you have asked for that first, you also will have prosperity. You also will be able to honorably fulfill whatever it is that the divine wants to fulfill through us. And so just remember that sequence. Ask first for a wise and understanding heart, and then prosperity will unfold naturally from that. Good morning. Welcome to you all. Welcome, 1,000 welcomes to everyone. And we are meditating on the topic today, what I shall give. And that's a quotation. I'll share the reading in just a moment from which that comes. This is part of our series on spiritual abundance. And so we're connecting with the source of abundance. The yogic teachings tell us that abundance is always with us. It is always within us. So we're connecting with the source of all that is, which is already right here in our heart. And then, as we are connected with the source of all that is already right here in our heart, we have the strength, we have the peace, we have the superabundant light and joy and kindness and good humor and courage and venturesomeness to keep being here joyfully and willingly in time and space. So in that prayer from Swami Premananda, and I'll just introduce us for a moment. If you're joining us for the first time, Swami Premananda was my teacher's teacher. So Swami Shankarananda founded this meditation community, and he shared the teachings here for almost 40 years. There's an awesome picture of him as you leave the door and as you arrive. Say hi to him. He's fabulous. He's like sunshine in human form. So Swami Shankarananda was my teacher and founded this community. His teacher was Swami Premananda. And so Swami Premananda founded a community in Washington, D.C. that also shares these teachings. Swami Premananda was a student of Swami Yogananda Paramahansa. And so Yogananda brought these teachings of Kriya to this country in 1920. And in 1928, a group of his students in the DC area said, let's found a community here. And so he invited his student to come over from India. And that student he consecrated as Swami Premananda. And so that's the prayer that we were sharing a few moments ago. Swami Premananda refers to the rugged road of relative hopes. So what he's saying is that in time and space, the relative is time and space. The relative is this world. And what he's saying is sometimes it feels like you're on a rugged road. Sometimes we know that. It feels like you're on a smooth road. And sometimes it feels you're on a rugged road. And so he says, when you feel like it's on a rugged road, connect with that energy of the soul within yourself. The energy of the soul within yourself will always give you the courage to keep going. And so this is making me smile. I saw a video this week of a camel on a sand dune in this desert landscape. And it was a really steep sand dune, and the camel was climbing this sand dune. And so it was actually down on its forelimbs. So it was the equivalent of crawling on its hands and knees to get to the top of this dune. And then it sort of like staggered up, and it stood at the top, and then it was able to lift itself up onto its full length of its limbs, and then it went soaring down the other side of the sand dune. And so that's a camel in a habitat that's comfortable for it to navigate. And so that lets you know it sometimes happens that even in landscapes that are natural to us, we have to do the equivalent of getting down on our hands and knees, step by step, keep finding a way forward, step by step, no matter what. And then I'm sure you all have had that experience as well. Sometimes you feel like, this is not my natural habitat. at? I don't know what I'm doing here. How do I keep moving forward? So that's the story that I'm about to share from the Hebrew Bible, from the Christian Old Testament. And so this is from 1 Kings chapter 3. And I'm encouraging everyone, take a look at it. It's a really classic story. You've likely heard it before, no matter what tradition you grew up in or have had exposure to. But meditate with it, because there are many, many teachings here. I'm about to share a few. So I'm sharing these as entry points, and as you keep meditating, it will continue to unfold spiritual gifts for you as you meditate.
Hi, I'm Porna, and I'm a Karma Yogi at Awake Yoga Meditation. We love to share the teachings of yoga philosophy. I mean, it's love, it's inspiration, it's peace, and this piece is for everybody. So if you like what you see, like, share, and subscribe. Spread that joy, y'all.
Okay. So in this story, Solomon is being asked to fulfill a role that he doesn't feel ready to fulfill. And so he's like, how do I do this? I don't know how to do this. What do I do? And so he falls asleep and he has a dream. And in the dream, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask what I shall give thee. And so in this dream, God appears directly to Solomon, who is that aspect of each of us, which is pure and honorable, faithful, noble, present, and is also saying, I don't know how to do what you're asking me to do, God. So this is every parent. This is every child. This is every spouse. This is every boss. This is every employee. This is every human on the planet saying, I don't know how to do what you want me to do, God. Falling asleep, and God says to each of us, ask what I shall give thee. And this is the King James translation. In the more contemporary translations, God just directly says, what do you want? What would you like? So the divine within each of us is asking us that always, continually. So Swami Vivekananda also pointed out, when we read these teachings, every aspect of these teachings is within us. So what that means is each of us has a Solomon within us who's like, I'm willing, and I don't know how to do this. And so I'm asking for help. And then the source of the solution is also within us, and it's asking, what would you like? The source of the solution is within us, and it's asking, what do you want? And so here's what Solomon says. He says, I am a child. I don't know how to fulfill this role that you want me to fulfill. So the yogis would say every human is a child. Every human. Doesn't matter how old you are, how mature you are, how wise you are, how many degrees you have, whatever roles you are playing, you are a child. If you are here in time and space, you are a child of the divine. You are a beloved child of immortality and of infinite light and kindness and wisdom, and always open to what only the divine can share with you. Don't foreclose or feel cut off from that incredible, limitless divine guidance, which is being shared limitlessly, continuously with all of us. So the moment that the divine says to Solomon, what do you want? This is what Solomon says, I'm a child. I don't know how to do what you want me to do. I don't know how to fulfill what you want to be fulfilled through me. This is his request. He says, give me a wise and understanding heart. That's the request. And if any human who ever has any question asks for that, solutions will unfold from a wise and understanding heart. And what the divine says to Solomon is, excellent. And because you have asked for that first, you also will have prosperity. You also will be able to honorably fulfill whatever it is that the divine wants to fulfill through us. And so just remember that sequence. Ask first for a wise and understanding heart, and then prosperity will unfold naturally from that. And naturally, honorably through you, the divine will fulfill whatever the divine wants to fulfill through you. So this teaching comes right before the very famous story where Solomon is asked to solve an unsolvable problem. And so the unsolvable problem is that these two women both gave birth to children. And in the night, one woman's child died. And so she took the living child from the other woman and replaced the living child with her own dead child. And so both women wake up the next morning, and the mother, who's holding this other woman's dead child, looks at this dead child and says, "That's not my baby. Like, she stole my baby." And so they both are called in front of Solomon, and Solomon is asked to decide. And what Solomon says, I'm not recommending that you do this at home, okay? But we'll move beyond the literal understanding of this to the spiritual principles of this. Solomon says, "Give me a sword." And he says, "I'm going to cut this child in half." And the true mother says, "Don't do that. Don't do that. Preserve that child's life. It's fine. She can have it." So the true mother understands that her child belongs to life itself. She wants life itself to love her child and raise her child, even if she can't. She wants the good of the child over her own good. She's not cut off from all that is. The mother who stole the living child is self-alienated. She's cut off from all that is. And go back to that teaching, that basic realization, there is an aspect of each of us that has the potential to be self-alienated. That's the aspect that would look at the role another is being asked to fulfill and would say, why am I not fulfilling that role? The only role the divine can ever fulfill through us is the role the divine wants to fulfill through us. It can't fulfill anyone else's role through us. And so what this is saying is, don't compare yourself to another. And what happens then is jealousy goes away, competitiveness goes away, self-judgment goes away. And then you have the woman whose child died would realize that child belonged to all of life also. It wouldn't solve her own heartbreak to take another woman's child. It would compound her heartbreak to take another woman's child. She would be creating more pain for herself. And so what this is telling all of us, and so again, I'm saying don't enact a literal reading of this at home, but what this says is, if you are human, you will experience loss. You will experience devastating loss if you are human. There's nothing wrong with you. That means you are human. Bow to it. Ask for a wise and understanding heart in the face of your loss, understanding that your child always belonged to all of life, always. There was never a moment that it did not belong to all of life. And so not that it would be humanly easy, but then you would be able to more graciously work with yourself in a non-self-alienated way. When you were facing loss, you would be able to courageously move forward. I talked to a human a couple weeks ago, and I might cry if I say this. It's out of love and respect. His teenage child died. Unbelievable pain, unbelievable pain. He met it with an open heart. And he went on to found a theater company. They produced 40 plays. This is the part that almost made me cry. Before every single play, the entire cast stood in a circle and held hands and thanked his son for leaving the body when he did. Because if he had not, this theater company would not exist, and this play would not exist. And everyone, including the dad who was grieving, could feel the living presence and support of the son who was still here in the non-physical. And so not to say that is easy, but to say that it is possible humanly to meet what we encounter in time and space with a wise and understanding heart, to courageously love ourselves forward, and as we do that, we make it possible for others to love themselves forward with a pure and open heart as well. And so for each of us, this is what we are invited to do. I'm coming back to these steps. When there's something that we don't know how to do, say to the divine, I'm a child. Please help fulfill through me whatever you want to fulfill through me. And the divine says to each of us, what do you want? What are you asking for? Solomon asks for the source of the solution. He doesn't ask for anything relative. He doesn't ask for anything in time and space. He says, please grant me a wise and understanding heart. There's a couple of other examples of this, concrete, practical examples of humans who have lived this same realization. Swami Vivekananda is one of them. And so some of you will probably have heard this story, but his family, his mom and his siblings, were in need. They needed food. They needed clothing. And so Swami Vivekananda went to his teacher, Ramakrishna, and said, my family needs food. They need clothing. Can you ask the Divine Mother to give them food and clothing? And Ramakrishna said, no, but you can. So he sent Swami Vivekananda to go have a little rendezvous with the Divine Mother in the form of Kali. And so Swami Vivekananda went before the Divine Mother, came into her presence, could feel her pure life energy, how beautiful, how adorable, how infinitely amazing the Divine Mother is. The Divine Mother is all that is, this pure life energy, this source within us. And the Divine Mother said, what do you want? And Swami Vivekananda said, I want to adore you. I want to see you always. I want discernment. I want spiritual wisdom. I want devotion. Swami Vivekananda went back to Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna said, did you ask her for food and clothing? Swami Vivekananda said, I forgot. So Ramakrishna said, go back, ask her. So this is take 2. Swami Vivekananda comes into the presence of the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother says, what do you want? And he says, I want to be able to discern what is real, what is unreal. And that's actually his name. It means that ability to discern what is real and what is unreal. What is the ultimate and what is the relative? What is temporary? What is that unconditional love, that purity of heart, that wise and understanding heart? That's what he was asking for. He went back to Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna said, so, did you ask already? Swami Vivekananda said, I forgot. A third time. And it actually repeated. And so one of the things that I would just invite you to realize here is when you are in the presence of the divine, there is no separate you to ask. There's no separate you to ask. And the relative melts. And the only thing that you can do is praise and worship and adore. The only thing that you can do is shine. The only thing that you can do is be down on your knees, thanking God that the light of 10,000 suns is here. And I'm pointing to my heart when I say that, but it's here in every single heart of every single human on the planet. The light of 10,000 suns is here. What words are there for that? What questions are there? What is there to ask? And so that is really the teaching that is being shared by that story from Swami Vivekananda. So a third time, Swami Vivekananda went back to Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna said, this was time 3. Did you ask? Swami Vivekananda said, no, I forgot. Like when you are in the presence of the divine, there is nothing to ask. There's non-separateness. There's just absolute peace. There is just bliss. And so what is there possibly to say? It is beyond mind. It is beyond speech. It is beyond the effects of duality. So then Ramakrishna said, they will have what they need. And it was the case. They will have what they need. And so in both of these stories, in the Hebrew Bible, and also this story in Swami Vivekananda's life, they both asked for a wise and understanding heart. And then everything that was needed in time and space arose from that. Everything that was to be fulfilled in time and space arose from that. A third story, contemporary, that I just came across recently, a young mom was at a sporting event for her 8-year-old. So the 8-year-old is there, it's an indoor sporting event, and her little baby is crying. So she's there watching her 8-year-old, holding her crying baby, and she's trying to soothe her crying baby. So she's up, she's like walking around, trying to calm this crying baby. And in the process of like pacing and walking to soothe and calm the crying baby, she ends up standing in front of a bulletin board. And she starts reading this request, and it's a photo of a mom, a single mom with her own kids surrounding her. And the single mom has been on a waiting list for 8 years for a kidney. And she's asking for a kidney donor. And this mom, holding her crying baby, starts reading it, and then she just stops. She can't keep reading it anymore. And she has this inner knowing, I am a match for this woman. I've never met this woman before, but I am a match for this woman. And so she prays. Her husband comes to pick her up. They're driving home. She's like, honey, I have to talk with you about something. I think I have to donate a kidney. And he's like, well, let's pray about it. Let's pray. And they both pray, and they both get exactly what I have been saying. He says to her, if this is coming from the divine, then you will be taken care of. And I will be taken care of. And our kids will be taken care of. And so they did the testing. It was a perfect match. She actually met the woman who was going to receive her kidney. Everything went forward. Everyone was taken care of. And so this is just an example for each of us. And again, I'm not literally saying that each of us needs to go out and donate a kidney after this, nor that each of us needs to fulfill any other role than the one we are asked to fulfill. And so this is us standing in front of the altar of light, each of us, saying, I will let go of comparing myself to the role that any other being on the planet is fulfilling. I will ask the divine to fulfill through me that role that the divine would love to fulfill through me, whether or not I feel prepared or not. Solomon in the story does not feel prepared. And so he says, I'm a child. And that attitude of respect and trust and love and openness and humility allows the divine, the wise, understanding heart, to continually teach us, to continually reach us. Whereas if we sit there and we think, I know it all, and I've got like my expectations and my plans and my calendar, and that needs to be fulfilled post-haste, then we're actually cutting ourselves off from the wise, continually expanding opportunities that the limitless, superabundant divine light would like to share with us and through us and as us. And so for each of us, this is us saying to the divine, when I don't know how to be a good parent, a wise, loving, kind, understanding, patient parent, or child, or partner, or spouse, or friend, or neighbor, or supervisor, or boss, or owner, or employee, whatever role that humans can play, when I don't know how to do that or to be that, let me stand before the altar of light and let me ask for a wise and understanding heart, remembering that my human self is always the child. And so I can open and I can allow the light of 10,000 suns to shine. And that light absolutely can and does and will guide me step by step. Moment by moment, I will be guided and supported, and the way will open before me. So Swami Shankarananda says this is what happens when we live in this way. He also says that it helps if we revel in selfless service as we give ourselves to the divine in this way. So reveling in selfless service is practicing karma yoga. And I just wanted to mention that a couple weeks ago, 4 people back to back to back to back to back, right in a row, said to me, karma yoga works. Karma yoga is liberating. Karma yoga heals. Karma yoga transforms. And they also said not only does karma yoga transform in terms of your spiritual practice, but karma yoga changes your life. And it also changes what you're able to bring to the world. It changes the way that your gifts are able to share and be of service in the world. And so I'm just giving you that feedback from 4 humans recently. It dovetails exactly with what Swami Shankarananda is saying. Revel in selfless service, rejoicing in the creative spirit within you as the only power and performer of all actions. Again, that's the non-separate self, and that's what you get in meditation. That's what you get when you practice karma yoga. Swami Shankarananda also says this: walk hand in hand with love and truth, spontaneous, bright, cheerful, and playful, asking for nothing, giving all, enjoying all. And the way that it is possible to ask for nothing, to give all, and to enjoy all is to live as the non-separate self. The non-separate self is the realized self. It is here within each of us. It is already present. It is always available. So each of us is invited, encouraged, urged. We are sung to, and we are invited to live as the non-separate self. Thank God, and God bless us all.